So I think as a collective consciousness, surely by now we're done with, well, let's say they're the ones that have gone beyond this seeing of the self as being something that needs to be worked on as a project, a human project to finally heal. I think we're ready as a collective to stop this whole processing journey for those that are willing, you could say, because there are many in the collective that are just getting into spirituality that do need to sit with things and heal. Really, you're just healing ideas of yourself. There is no healing. That is all you can really look into, is the perceptions you have about yourself. Who you are has never been touched by this world. You are the world, right? And that can become a bypass if someone doesn't want to feel into sensations, sure. But for 99% of the people on this channel, I would say, is that there can be an addiction to the project of perfecting the human, of some kind of fantasy that in time I can get to a place where finally I'm healed or free or so enlightened that I don't have to worry about anything else, and I can just put my feet up. And that freedom is coming, but it's not in waiting for that day. It's not in waiting for the human project to finally arrive, where you can work on yourself and feel it and get through your repressed emotions. And you know, repression is an idea as well, and it's a very valid one on one level of reality. If you are suppressing parts of yourself, if you are not integrated, you know, these are all very valid points, but they're also not where I speak from. I speak from being through that phase. You have to see all the parts of yourself you're not willing to let go of, but this is really a releasing, right? Most people all day will sit with their emotions, but few beings will release the stories and the fight against this whole project, right? Just leave it, right? Let yourself be free. Let the dust settle. It doesn't need to work out all of these strategies and plans for working on yourself to basically try and make the human life better. So what do you want? Do you want a little human life that feels a bit better? Or do you want to go think bigger? You know, imagine greater. You're better than that. Your self-worth can go beyond the human. You don't resist the human. You see that there is an addiction, there's a juice to staying within the confines of being this self, this human, and working on that self. That's the addiction. It's a juice. It's Moorish. Everyone loves to have a project to work on. Now, you can't teach someone to release themselves from the perfection game, the healing game. They have to be so exhausted that all they want is truth, right? And so many more avenues open up afterwards. You know, this doesn't end with no self. It doesn't end with a healed human. You have got a lot coming your way that's been waiting to flower through you every time you give it the chance to actually have the space outside of this whole healing thought system. There's so many industries that thrive on a population thinking they need to be healed. So of course you're going to have loads of streaming platforms. You've got, like, don't get me wrong, but you've got corporations like Gaia, you've got mindfulness. Everyone's making money out of people thinking they need to work on themselves. So it's not in the best interest, really, of a lot of people for the population to basically see, hold on, I'm choosing how broken I am. So then we bring up the topic of trauma, right? Like, oh, something happened to me in my past, whether it's, you know, real abuse, you know, there are places for this. There is validity to this story. It occurs. Someone just randomly walking around. By the way, I just walk around the most random places, and there's this big manor house here, and I don't know about you, but I'm a massive film buff, and it just happens to be where Stanley Kubrick has been filming some of his this film, anyway, back when he was filming, before he got strangely died. Anyway, back to this. Fuck it. We're on a good roll. Yes. It's not in the best interest for too many people, for a population to really come into their sovereignty for choosing who they're affected by. But now this past trauma, right? This past trauma feeling, that is a story that has gravity of a momentum that you bring into your present moment. You are a fresh new being in every fresh new moment. If you bring a story that this past event affects me now, that is a choice. Whether that feels like a bypass to you, whether that feels harsh, I just want you to be free. I don't care how tough I need to be in love to show you that I don't want to cuddle you into your own gooey stories where you get stuck into. That's not my teaching style. You have comforters and you have disruptors. I want to break open the paradigms you have about yourself and bring you to the edge of an invitation that you feel just about comfortable enough to step into, rather than keeping these stories of the past real. Right? These are just stories that follow people around. There is no gravity that you need to bring the past into your present moment. That you are under no law to believe that you have to, just because other people in the healing space are working on their past, working on themselves. That creates the sense of solidity, which creates the vortex of continuous duality of duration. Right? You're trying to heal on a timeline. Now, these past events, and even the worry about the future events, there's only ever been this moment. All of these colours in the mind of memories of before and after, matched with the sensation that you label as good or bad, creates this story of a self moving in time. You can drop that altogether, and the only thing I see in the being, like, you find yourself here, and I'm looking around, what is really keeping people stuck? I think it's the guilt of releasing those, really. They think they have to earn it. They think they have to work on it. They can't just drop it. They don't want to just drop it, because then what would the mind do? All of this energy would be freed up to basically go into who they really are, in passion and joy. You can only release yourself because you have something to step into joy, into passion, into love. You know, the mind often can't think, well, if I didn't have something negative to work on, then this would all be a bit too simple. This would all be a bit too free. But it's not, you know, it's not too good to be true. You don't have to work on the negativity in that way. The greatest revealer of what negativity truly is stepping into your light, really. There, you know, it's not, oh, it's all just light and love, and that's, you know, a spiritual bypass. There is just light. And the darkness that you feel is just the light compressed. Fear is just love resisted. The dark, you know, as soon as you start lighting up, everything lights up. And you wonder why you thought you had to work on it, right? To improve your little human life on your little human timeline. But you're beyond all timelines. You're beyond all stories. When you wake up completely from the duality, that never happened. That was a dream in the mind, right? And sure, that's not going to be helpful to someone that's really in something right now. But the temptation is to keep working through that, right? The temptation is to keep trying to unhook yourself, to really work through it. Don't work through it, just drop it. There is a juice to working through things. There is an addiction, a juicy, Moorish victim mentality. And again, I say this because I love you so deeply. I don't want to see you writhing around in your own bullshit. I don't want to see people thinking it's okay to just be in the same loop over and over. It's boring. You're better than that. You're beautifully free. You're beyond anything that you could ever have been implanted into your mind. And even if you think you're at the effect of this outside world, of these evil forces or these people that have made you feel this certain way, you're not. You've chosen to experience that, and that's also, I need to respect that in yourself, that you've chosen to be at the effect of something and to experience what it's like to go through a healing journey. I admit, sometimes I can say things which means like I'm not respecting your free will, but there's all free will. All I'm providing on YouTube here is a space for those that are exhausted with that durational journey. That's what I want to add, because then you have your own free will. Do I want to keep on this kind of tiptoeing around, or do I just want to let it all go? It's actually far easier than you think. It's too simple for the mind. Allowing is too simple. We feel we have to be doing something, earning something. I can't quite just put my feet up and be, or go into what I'm actually interested in. What am I joyous about? What am I passionate about? What's in my actual soul purpose? So many people get to the end of their lifetime and they look back and they think, I was trying to work on something that isn't even here. The self is a complete illusion. You're a movement of thought and energy. And so much of that energy gets put into trying to conserve and preserve a self-image. It doesn't really need preserving. The only thing you can really protect is the idea of protection. The only thing you can really defend against is an empty space of consciousness that is ready to be directed and intended in whichever way. And it all flows. This new energy doesn't need strategies or plans. You just feel into it, and you allow, and you let go, and you give up the fight. Give up the battles. Let it all just come to you. You get on your bike, right? I love this from Adamus. The old energy is you get on the bike and you work towards something. That was the energy of vibration, duality. You're on the bike and you're heading towards, maybe healing or careers, money, job. This is why it feels so naked, because in the new energy, you get on the bike, but the whole landscape comes to you. It passes through you. Time passes through you. You have never moved in your whole existence. You can't move. That would be the accomplishment of separation that never occurred. You are beyond all of that. Everything is moving through you, including your story of the incarnation you have right now. You are watching that whole lifetime pass through you that's completely still, has never gone anywhere, has never even gone into time. So this is quantum, really. This is the quantum healing. I don't even like quantum healing, just quantum being. Healing implies something's been broken, right? You can't fix something that's not broken. You just see that it was never broken. And that is the healing, right? I'll meet you halfway. We'll put the stepping stone down. There is a healing, but it's of the perception that you're broken. And then in 5 years' time, we can drop all of that. I'm being serious, though. And many of you, I talk to you as if I get this video is kind of aimed at people that maybe are stuck. There's many of you that aren't stuck, and you come to my meetings and it's so joyous. We can really get into what we're here for, which is to experience joy and passion and love, not some kind of like, I'm broken and I need to work out my issues. Stop figuring out your fucking issues. Trying to figure them out makes them more real. They actually dissolve back into you when you stop trying to strategize and plan your way to a little human freedom. Maybe if I figure out my issues, if I just sort out my money situation, once I have enough friends, or even enough solitude, or enough money, or enough success, or enough enlightenment, that's the last one. Once I achieve whatever Matt's achieved, I haven't achieved anything. I've surrendered it. I've surrendered it all. I've let go of it all. This is what you're in now, I think, if you're watching this video. All I know is that I know nothing, and it's the most delicious emptiness and fullness. There's nothing to earn. Everything is to be dropped, because you weigh nothing, as I always say. That's the lightness you're looking for in the solving of your problems. It's actually just giving into them, and lose it, actually. Don't even, all I love is I've lost all my battles. I've lost them all. I'm a terrible human, right? To be fair, I succeeded in some and did quite well in a lot of areas that I wanted to try hard in. I was terrible at a lot of school because I just didn't give a fuck. Like, I could see so clearly at that age. I was looking around and everyone like writing down really, really hard. I was thinking like, none of this fucking matters. And I remember just like not doing anything. I went to university at Leicester and my lecture attendance was like 7%, and I got the highest grade because I just like looked up the answers on Google and just like you see how like this whole human game is just such a fucking game, and you can win it, you can lose it, but the main thing is you stop playing it. Because you can't bring your wins through the veil, right? Like, you can't win. Like, let's say Bill Gates, right? He's doing his best, whatever the fuck he's doing, with all his money and all his buying up the farmland and trying to implant shit into people. He'll get to the end of his life and think, that was a fucking waste of time. And the people that do surrender everything realize like the duality of accomplishment is such a farce, like it's such a facade. And what is interesting is the response from others that are in your life that are still in the game, right? If someone's like, what are you doing? Like, what have you... it's funny, I turn down jobs at the moment. So I've moved out of London, and I still get jobs from London on like films or like a commercial or music video. And like someone will be offering me thousands, right, for a particular job. And if it's not an artist that I really enjoy, or it's like trying to sell something, I've tried that. I've tasted what it's like to sell myself out just to try and get a better job and to make more money. And I turn around, I'm like, nah, I don't want to do this job. Like, and the level of freedom it feels just to not have to play the game of like climbing the ladder is so beautiful. And I don't know where my next paycheck is going to come from. And it is a courageous thing for all of us to start living more authentically. But like, what I want to end on is this whole lose the game. Don't be afraid to lose the battles, right? You know, this is the deepest forgiveness. You know, when you're sort of battling with someone and you've had arguments in the past, and you sort of look at each other and you just start laughing. Like, what are we here for? We're not here to win. You can't win. No one's ever won humanity. They've certainly tried. We all have to try and win to realise that you can't win, and which means you can't lose. You just stop playing the fucking game, and then the game starts. You could say, really, it's like a level 2, which is not in duality. It's passion, it's joy, it's love, your creatorship. Let it come to you, the new energy, right? It's not that there's nothing to do, it's more that you are doing incessantly, and muscle memories that you're doing and striving and trying, and it's so beautiful to release that. It's an undoing, it's an unlearning, it's an unbinding. Now when you've unlearned enough and all that energy's freed up, then you can see what's on the table. Beyond the vibration of duality, there is a new energy that doesn't come from a masculine feminine split. It doesn't come from a need to resolve the split. It comes from a God sovereign being, which has well, there's a lot to come. You just need to stay true to yourself. Just a classic sign off. Alright, I'm gonna go explore whatever I've just come across here. It's beautiful. It's a lake over it. Thanks for listening. Love you all. I can't find